Most men enter relationships with good intentions, believing that love, respect, and commitment are enough to build something meaningful. But what if I told you that not all relationships operate on mutual trust? What if, instead of partnership, you're caught in a cycle of subtle control, one where you don't even realize you're being manipulated? Manipulation is dangerous not because it's obvious, but because it's often disguised as love, care, or even concern. A manipulative woman doesn't need to yell, threaten, or demand. She operates in a way that makes you question yourself, your decisions, and even your reality. Over time, you may start to feel drained, confused, and constantly on edge, yet unable to pinpoint why. The worst part? Most men never see it coming. Society teaches men to be providers, protectors, and problem solvers. But in the wrong hands, these instincts can be used against you. A manipulative woman will make you believe that her happiness depends entirely on your actions. She will create an environment where you feel responsible for every argument, every moment of tension, every time she is upset. And in trying to keep the peace, you slowly start sacrificing your own needs, desires, and, ultimately, your self-respect. But there's a way to break free. The Stoics taught us that true strength lies in self-awareness, emotional control, and the ability to see things as they are, not as we wish them to be. When you recognize manipulation for what it is, you strip it of its power. You take back control, not by confronting or arguing, but by understanding the game and refusing to play it. In this video, we'll break down 10 signs that a woman is manipulating you. Some of these may be subtle, others obvious, but if you recognize more than a few, it's time to step back and reassess. Let's begin with the first and most common form of manipulation: guilt. This is one of the most powerful tools in the arsenal of a manipulative woman. She doesn't need to raise her voice or start an argument, she just needs to make you feel like you did something wrong. Even if you didn't. It starts unnoticed. You refuse her request, and instead of respecting your decision, she responds, "If you really loved me," she would say, "if you really loved me, you would have done it." Or she pretends to be offended, sighs, or pulls away from you, making you doubt yourself. Soon you find yourself giving in not because you really want to, but because you feel bad. This is manipulation at its finest. Instead of open communication, she uses your emotions as a weapon. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, not emotional blackmail. No one who truly cares about you should make you feel guilty for having boundaries, preferences, or personal space. The Stoics believe that emotions should be managed, not controlled. As soon as you recognize guilt as a manipulative tactic, you regain control. You realize that love is not about constantly proving yourself right. It is about mutual understanding and respect. If you've ever felt like you owe someone just because you said no, it's time to think about it. No healthy relationship requires you to sacrifice your self-respect to keep the peace. If you found this insight valuable, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Let's keep going, because guilt is only the beginning. The next manipulation is frequent mood swings. One day, she's affectionate, attentive, and showering you with love. The next, she's distant, cold, or even indifferent. You start wondering what you did wrong, why her mood changed so suddenly. Did you say something? Did she lose interest? And just as you begin to feel the anxiety creep in, she flips back to being warm and loving again. This cycle isn't random, it's calculated. She's conditioning you to seek her approval. When she pulls away, you panic and try harder. You start walking on eggshells, making sure you don't upset her, constantly trying to earn back her affection. This isn't love, it's control. The Stoics taught that true strength comes from within, not from the validation of others. A man who is emotionally dependent on someone else's approval becomes easy to manipulate. When a woman controls your emotions with unpredictable behavior, she holds the power in the relationship. The key is recognizing the pattern. If someone's affection feels like a reward that can be given or taken away at any moment, step back. No one who genuinely cares about you will use love as a bargaining chip. But this type of manipulation doesn't stop at emotions. Some women take it even further, making you question your own reality. This brings us to the next sign of manipulation: gaslighting. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious forms of manipulation because it attacks your perception of reality. A manipulative woman will twist facts, deny things she previously said, or accuse you of being too sensitive when you call her out. Over time, you start doubting your own memory, emotions, and even your judgment. It often starts small. You recall a conversation clearly, but she insists it never happened. Or she says something hurtful, but when you confront her, she laughs it off and says, "I never said that." You're imagining things. At first, you argue back, but after enough of these moments, you begin second-guessing yourself. Maybe I misheard her. Maybe I am overreacting. And that's exactly what she wants, to make you question yourself to the point where she controls the narrative. The Stoics believed in clarity of thought, seeing things as they truly are. If you find yourself constantly apologizing, doubting your own memories, or feeling like you're always in the wrong, step back and reassess. A healthy relationship is built on honesty, not psychological games. But gaslighting is just one way a manipulative woman keeps control. Sometimes, instead of twisting reality, she exerts power by issuing ultimatums, forcing you into choices where you always seem to lose. Let's talk about that next. A woman who manipulates you doesn't argue, she demands. Instead of discussing problems like mature adults, she gives you ultimatums: either you do this, or we're done. If you don't agree with me, then maybe we shouldn't be together. There's no middle ground, no compromise, just her way or nothing at all. Ultimatums are a way to strip you of choice. Instead of allowing a natural, mutual resolution, she pressures you into submission by making you fear loss. And the more you give in, the more control she has. You may tell yourself, "It's just this one time," but before you know it, you're constantly adjusting your behavior just to avoid conflict. A Stoic man does not react out of fear. He stands firm in his values, knowing that a real relationship doesn't rely on threats, but on understanding. A woman who truly loves and respects you won't force you into impossible choices. She'll work with you to find common ground. But sometimes, manipulation isn't just about power, it's about playing the victim. A manipulative woman can make herself seem completely helpless, shifting blame onto you, even when she's the one at fault. Let's break that down next. A manipulative woman will rarely admit when she's wrong. Instead of taking accountability, she flips the situation and makes herself the victim, even if she was the one who caused the problem in the first place. Suddenly, her bad behavior isn't about what she did, but about how you made her feel. Maybe she disrespected you, but when you call her out, she says, "I was just having a bad day, and now you're making me feel even worse." Or she blames her past experiences. "I've been through so much, I can't believe you're treating me like this." Before you know it, you're apologizing for something that wasn't your fault. This kind of manipulation is dangerous because it makes you feel guilty for expecting basic respect. Over time, you start tolerating more and more mistreatment because you don't want to seem insensitive to her struggles. But here's the truth: everyone has problems, yet not everyone uses them as a free pass to avoid accountability. A Stoic man recognizes emotional manipulation for what it is, an attempt to control through guilt and sympathy. But guilt isn't the only tool a manipulative woman will use. Sometimes, she'll take a more direct approach, by deliberately making you jealous to keep you on edge. A manipulative woman knows that jealousy is a powerful emotion, and she will use it to keep you feeling insecure, uncertain, and always chasing her validation. She may casually mention how other men find her attractive, bring up her ex in conversations, or even flirt in front of you, just to see how you react. The goal? To make you feel like you're not enough, like you have to prove your worth to keep her interested. She wants you to compete for her attention, to feel threatened by the idea of losing her. And when you do react, whether with frustration, possessiveness, or desperation, she will turn it against you. "Why are you being so insecure? Don't you trust me?" Now, not only are you feeling jealous, but you're also being made to feel guilty for it. A Stoic man does not fall into this trap. He knows that true confidence comes from within, not from chasing someone's approval. If a woman intentionally stirs jealousy instead of building trust, she is playing games, not fostering a real connection. The moment you stop reacting, the manipulation loses its power. But jealousy isn't the only way she might try to control you. Some women take it even further, by using financial manipulation to make sure you're always giving, while they take. A manipulative woman doesn't just want your attention, she wants your resources. She may not ask outright, but she'll make it clear that your value in the relationship is tied to what you provide. It starts with small hints: if you really cared, you'd help me with this. Or guilt tripping: my ex always spoiled me, but I guess you're different. Over time, she creates an expectation that love is measured in gifts, favors, and financial support. At first, you might not notice. After all, you want to make her happy. But before long, your generosity is no longer appreciated, it's expected. She's not asking, she's demanding. If you refuse, she plays the victim: I thought you were different. I guess I can't count on you. Suddenly, you're not just arguing about money, you're defending your character. A Stoic man understands that a relationship built on transactions is not a relationship, it's an exchange. True love and respect do not come with a price tag. If a woman only appreciates you when you're giving, but withdraws when you set boundaries, she's not with you for you, she's with you for what you provide. The next manipulation is when a woman puts all the blame on you, regardless of the situation. A manipulative woman will never take the blame for anything. No matter what happens, it's always your fault, someone else's fault, or just bad luck, but never hers. If she hurts you, she'll say, I only reacted that way because of what you did. If something in her life goes wrong, she blames you for not supporting her enough. Even when her actions clearly cause a problem, she'll twist the situation so that you're the one apologizing. Over time, this wears you down. You start accepting responsibility for things that were never yours to begin with. You apologize just to avoid conflict. You take the blame to keep the peace. And with every argument she wins by deflecting responsibility, she tightens her control over the relationship. A Stoic man understands that accountability is the foundation of strength. A woman who refuses to take responsibility for her actions is showing you who she truly is, someone who will always put herself first, even at your expense. No matter how much you try to reason with her, you will always be the one at fault in her eyes. And when shifting blame isn't enough, a manipulative woman has one more tactic to keep control: she withholds affection, attention, and even intimacy to get what she wants. Let's break that down next. A manipulative woman knows that affection and intimacy are powerful tools, and she will use them strategically to control you. When you do what she wants, she is warm, loving, and attentive. But the moment you step out of line, disagree with her, set boundaries, or refuse to be controlled, she suddenly becomes distant, uninterested, or even cold. This is not about needing space, it's a calculated move to make you earn her attention back. She wants you to feel anxious, questioning what you did wrong. You start chasing her approval, trying harder, apologizing even when you didn't do anything wrong, just to restore the connection. Over time, you learn that love and intimacy in the relationship are not freely given, they are conditional, based on how well you comply with her demands. A Stoic man recognizes this manipulation for what it is: an emotional power play. True connection isn't something you have to beg for or prove yourself worthy of. If a woman deliberately withholds love or physical affection to manipulate you, she's not building a relationship, she's establishing dominance. The only way to win this game is to stop playing. A woman who truly cares about you won't make you feel like you have to earn her love. It will be given freely, without conditions. The final and most dangerous manipulation tactic is making you emotionally dependent on her validation. A manipulative woman wants to be the center of your world, not out of love, but because it gives her power. She subtly discourages your independence, makes you second-guess your choices, and conditions you to seek her approval in everything you do. It starts with small comments: why do you always listen to your friends? They don't really understand you like I do. Or, I don't think that hobby is a good use of your time. Over time, you begin isolating yourself, changing your behaviors, and prioritizing her above all else, because when she's happy, you feel at peace. When she's upset, you feel like a failure. This is not love, it's control. A Stoic man knows that true self-worth comes from within, not from someone else's approval. A healthy relationship should add to your life, not consume it. The moment you realize you're constantly adjusting yourself just to keep her satisfied, you need to step back and ask, who am I really living for? If you've read this far, you now understand the 10 signs of manipulation and how they can slowly rob you of your confidence, independence, and self-esteem. A manipulative woman doesn't need to yell or control you directly. She uses subtle tactics like guilt, emotional swings, deception, and ultimatums to make you feel like you're always wrong. The more you endure, the harder it becomes to recognize the manipulation for what it really is. But now you can't help but see it. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Here's my challenge to you. Take a close look at your relationships. Ask yourself, are you constantly trying to prove your worth? Do you feel like you're always walking on eggshells? Do you give more than you get just to keep the peace? If so, it's time to take a step back and take back your power. A strong man doesn't allow himself to be manipulated. He sets boundaries, stands his ground, and doesn't let fear guide his decisions. Now I want to hear from you. Have you experienced any of these manipulation tactics? Leave a comment below and let's talk about it. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on more insights on how to manage your thinking and relationships. Until next time, be strong, stay grounded, and never let anyone control your sense of self-worth.